And here we go. Hello, and welcome to the Book of Boba Fett Aftershow here on JLJ Media. I'm JLJ. I'm JLJ Media, and I have a guest host. No, it's not Ryan. He doesn't look anything like him. He's better looking. It is Frank Moran.
Hardly. I do not hold a candle to Ryan. Right. That guy is an Adonis, is being, being polite.
Yeah, it's not even kind. It's not even enough words to describe Ryan Nielsen, and we love Ryan. So I'm sitting out here. Hopefully, he'll be here with me next week. He's my regular co-host, but I asked Mr. Frank to come in because he likes the show too.
Yeah, why not? I don't bore enough viewers on GHB Spotlight. Let me bore some over here on Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, why not? Right. So there's some housekeeping. So thank you, everybody, because this show, I am very shocked because I know maybe there's not enough out there already, but you've made this show my highest debuting, biggest downloaded first week episode of any show ever. So I'm just shocked. I saw how it's doing so far. It's doing really well still this week from last week. So thank you, Star Wars Nation. I'm happy to, thank you. I appreciate it. I did a solo show by myself. So I was like, I don't know what that's about. So I'm very happy. So thank you for making the show something. I know you have a lot of choices in Star Wars content out there. I just want a little piece of it. But thank you for showing me a little piece of it. So thank you. I totally appreciate that. You can find it on any streaming service, obviously, out there. And here on the YouTubes at JLJ Media. Hello, Kirsten Marie is in there. The chat room. People can come on in when you're ready. We'll be talking about chapter 2, the tribes of Tatooine. So we're talking about that here on Disney Plus. Number 1, it is the second chapter, separate episode of the show. We got, again, another A and B story. We got past and present. They did present first this time. It was a different setup. They did present first, then past. And the present was kind of short. It wasn't like a lot. And the past a longer story. So we're going to break it down this week that way. Now, let's not go in order. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do A story, B story. So we'll do B story first. Well, we'll do first story, second story. That's what we're going to do first. I really enjoyed it. 52 minutes. We got a little longer episode. So you like my Grogu? Sure, yes.
Look at you.
And I'm drinking out of my mug. I'm always ready. Always ready. And there's no alcohol in here. It's actually just juice this time. Well, this time. So yes. So we'll start. And Frank, so overall, because you weren't here last week, obviously, because I just started the show. The show just started. Are you liking these 2 episodes? So are you liking the series so far?
I'm liking it, and I guess next episode will really lock us in. I think maybe for the structure. I mean, so far we've seen, both past and present in these first 2 episodes, to various different degrees of how much they take up each episode. I feel like the third one would set the pattern. So if we see it, then I feel like it's going to run for the rest of the episodes. But if we're kind of wrapped up, and this is close enough to when we see him in the Mandalorian, that it's like, all right, cool, we can just stay present day. I'm good with that too.
Yeah, I'm with you exactly. I think either this next episode, either this is wrapping it up, or the next episode will wrap it up, and then we'll be like, here you go. Because I think it's only 8 episodes, I think. So it's not gonna be long season. But I think they're really setting us up for like what's happening present day, and they're catching us up in the past. So I kind of like it so far. I'm very impressed. It feels very Star Warsian. That's not a word, but I made up here on JLJ Media. It gives me Star Warsian. It gives me the world, the Star Wars world. And I always wonder, because you know this, Frank, of course, there were 100,000 books that came out before Lucasfilms went to Disney.
Yes.
So I learned a new word. I told Frank last, I learned a new word, canon. So I know that in some places they decanonized some stuff, and fans got upset. So I was curious how they were going to tie in maybe some of the stuff that Boba Fett went through in books, if they were bringing into this or not. But it seems like they're just very straightforward. It's going from Return of the Jedi to Mandalorian, kind of. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, and it is interesting that since Lucasfilm was purchased by Disney, and everything's been kind of consolidated, both the comic book side and the production side, all under Disney, you're seeing more of characters that are in the current Star Wars comics making the crossover to the big screen, or the small screen. So it's interesting. I mean, when we get to see a cool Wookiee bounty hunter,
I was going to ask you. Okay, we can mention because what's the first part is present day. Takes up after the Nightwing assassins. They got rid of all of them except for one. So she was trying to try to get the one. And the show always has nice little bits of humor, which is kind of funny there too. But we saw this Wookiee Enforcer. I go, wasn't he in Solo or the Clone Wars? Like, he looked familiar to me. I looked it up, and officially he had no name. Like, they didn't say. Everybody thinks it's him. So I mean, what do you think?
I can't see how it wouldn't be. I mean, black, and even I'm not even. I mean, I guess it's Black Chrysanthemum.
Yeah, and he was a bounty hunter. So, but
Yes.
here he's a kind of, I guess guard or something. I mean, he's like whatever he is to these twins. I mean, he's just like, but he's there.
He's just the muscle. He's the muscle. And I remember reading him when he first appeared in the comics and several years ago, once Marvel started taking over. That was nice. It's always cool to see how Star Wars kind of broadens its mythology. And then the wonder is always like, oh, well, I mean, that's cool in the comics. Is that ever going to become anything? And then when you see it, you feel like once you see it in a TV show or a movie, it locks it in saying, yep, this matters. And so to see him in there last night, boom, yes. All right.
That's very cool.
He matters. He
matters. He matters. He's been canon, I guess. No, but he matters. But I was just kind of quick. Oh, there's a Wookiee. Like, oh my god.
And I thought, I mean, the makeup and everything was just great.
Oh, yeah, good.
Oh,
yeah, he looked good. He looked good. Tall, everything. He looked really good. How long did Marvel do the Star Wars comics?
They did it originally for, I think it went 107 issues.
Oh, wow.
I think back when it in the first run, back in the late 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
And then Dark Horse Comics took over and did a bunch of stuff with it. They adapted like the Thrawn novels and stuff. I love those novels. Those are great.
Me too. I have them. Me too.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, and they even did their own imagining of what would be happening, so many years past the current, like the trilogy and stuff.
I mean, if you don't read the books, I mean, Luke has grandchildren. I mean, like there's a whole. I mean, there's it's about Uncle Owen and some of these show, but there's a whole bunch of things that they don't talk about on these things here. But there's a whole world. I mean, not to get into the weeds, but I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, do you feel like if you enjoyed those stories, because now the New Republic is the High Republic is like the new set that goes along with this world now. They're kind of trying to tout it like it's part of this world. But all those other books, I mean, I had a bunch of those books, and they were great stories. So we just say they're great stories, or should we get mad?
No, I mean, I guess as always, if you love the story, it's always going to be there. Nobody can take that away from you. But admittedly, seeing what we've got now with the new trilogy, 7, 8, and 9, compared to a lot of the stuff that they're doing in those novels, I really enjoyed what was going on more in those novels than I did in 7, 8, and 9. So, I mean, death of Chewbacca aside, I did not enjoy seeing him get killed off. But I mean, it was written well in the novel. I mean, it hits you because you're like, whoa.
I agree.
But it's like, it's nice to have Chewbacca alive. I just wish the stories in the 7, 8, and 9 had been better. Because those are characters that I mean, a lot of us just grew up with. And I think we all having books be the only source of kind of further adventures of those characters. That I think we all had our expectations and our hopes of what they'd be up to when they're coming back for 7, 8, and 9. And then what we got, I think it was I know I was underwhelmed.
And I was too.
Yeah.
So that's good thing there. Okay. But anyway, so here's the thing. The funny scene, they bring him back to the throne. This he doesn't want to talk. He's not gonna talk. The capture, he's not gonna talk. He's like, screw them. Little comedy where they drop him and they release him to this thing to get the rat. It's just basically nothing there, but like a little mouse thing. That was kind of funny. But he tells that the mayor sent them, which I wasn't surprised. I mean, were you surprised? I wasn't surprised.
Wasn't surprised by that. I mean, yes, it was a great play with the Rancor. I mean, of course, there's a part of me that still was like, I'd be cool to see a Rancor.
Yeah, we just rip apart or something. I was ready. I was ready.
I'd be down. But I mean, it definitely is a nice play of like, we're gonna really scare you. Don't worry, you.
Well, I think it was, to me, you tell me if you get the same feeling. And I feel like they're trying to show us that Boba Fett's a different kind of ruler, a different kind of guy. Like he's not a tyrant, or he doesn't have feelings, or he's not like he rules with an iron fist, but a different way. That's what it seems like to me. They're trying to set.
I agree, because it's not through violence, it's through respect, kind of how, as he's kind of stated it. So and I mean, it is interesting just to I mean, it seems like the rest of the series will be him probably finding out how difficult it would be, or it is, to try to rule like that.
Yes. Well, it looks like he won over the Ithorian mayor. Shaki, he's fine. They're fine, apparently. Apparently, he's like, okay.
No. Do you buy that, though? Come on.
I don't buy it. It's like a soap opera. Like, I don't buy that. That's not true. They're just saying that.
It wasn't. I did enjoy the voice. It just, it was not the voice I was expecting coming out of him, the mayor. So,
I know.
Yeah, I was. It translated, of course, but I was still expecting the translated voice to be somewhat kind of gruffer or sleazier. This one seemed, just like, oh yeah, hey, I'm just a dude doing a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because we knew he didn't want to pay him the money the first time when he said that they didn't want to pay. So I'm like, you didn't just turn over a new leaf all of a sudden because he defeated your assassins. Like, I don't think that's. I mean, it seemed too easy. But I just chuckle like, okay, well, maybe we'll see what happens. But then, of course, we see later when it go to, and Jennifer Beals, folks. I'm always shocked when I'm like, Jennifer Beals is in a Star Wars TV show. Like, I mean, she was Flashdance. I mean, come on.
She looks great.
She's great. She's great in it. She's beautiful. She's great in it. They're at the club and everything. And like, something's going down. Everybody looks at it like, something's going to go down. And they turn around to go outside. And I said, this is what I wrote down. Very Cleopatra entrance. It was like very, I mean, it's like all of a sudden, there and everybody's ready. It was like very high noon. Everybody's ready. They're here waiting. She's like, finna cover me. He's like, she's ready. And then all of a sudden they bring in the Jabba twins. They're cousins.
What a miserable kind of job that is, to have to be one of the people carrying them. I mean, especially when you're at a stance and they have that nice little long conversation with Boba, and you're just like, these guys have to be miserable. They have to be miserable. The only one that's cool with everything is just the drum guy. He's like, take as long as you want. I just got my drum. I'm ready to go. Everybody else is like, oh God, please.
Oh my God, it's so funny. Yeah, that would suck. Yes, I wouldn't want that job. But it must be. I mean, they're obviously under their rules, so something must be going on. That's why everyone's carrying them as they're conjoined together. Ooh, like they're conjoined together. Like,
I mean, it makes sense from what they were saying last episode. It's like, hey, it's a much better thing to show your power by being brought in rather than just walking. And Boba's not about that. He's like, no, that's a Jabba thing. I walk wherever I want, and you can see it definitely sets a different tone compared to the between the two.
As those boy and girl folks, it's twins, and I was like, this is very Dynasty. I was like, I love it. So the cousins want to rule. So which to me, okay, makes sense on some level. Their family are thinking, well, we'll get the territory. I mean, that's for us. And then some guy comes in and says, no, I'm going to take over it and not relate to them. I was like, okay, I'm down for that. I can work with that. And I just love when he said, sleep light bounty hunter. Okay, I was like, okay. He's like giving him a little, so like, okay, watch out. See, one eye open, bitches. That's what he was saying. He's like, bloodshed's not really good right now for business. He's like, I'm gonna do it right now. He's like, okay. I just love it. It's kind of like there's some little power play happening. Like, don't worry, like we'll handle you later.
Yes. It's I also liked how that Hutt would rather than eating the animal that he draws out, he just kind of uses it as like a little rag to kind of like, oh my, dry himself off.
She had like a little fan or something. He had the thing. I was like, is he patting himself with that animal? Like, I think he is. I like that. But yeah, they threatened to say we should kill you, but nothing happened. But that was good. So now we're setting the stage. So like you said, it's gonna be hard for them to take over. They're gonna be like a nuisance to them. Who knows what they're gonna do? I mean, what they have up their sleeve, we have no idea, right? But it'll be very interesting to see what they do, because it's like, okay, I calm down. I'm ready to see what's gonna happen.
And it's good because I mean, I feel like his MOs, as we've been talking about, is kind of ruling through respect, and how it'll be curious to see, can he convince others to follow him without the kind of intimidation of violence that the Hutts so often use.
Yes.
uh, I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting. Can you
Admirable.
inspire that loyalty?
It's admirable. I mean, he wants to be used differently. That's a great story trope. Also, just something I don't want to be the because I mean I don't want to be like what they are. Like you said, I want to do things differently, and I think that's it's almost like being kind to people and they'll do whatever you want. I used to, not to say this is the same thing, but I used to remember when I used to be a manager at stores, they're the ones to rule by fear. Clothing store, like hello, we're folding jeans. I'm like, I'm not gonna rule by fear. I'll be a nice person, give them their breaks, all this stuff, and they do all the work I want them to do. I mean, they work because they feel like they want to. And I feel like Boba Fett's the same. It's like if I'm kind to them, show them respect, give them their spaces, but stay sturdy. Like I'm not going to walk all over me. Then they'll be fine. They'll just fall in line. That's what he's hoping. They'll fall in line.
Well, when you see those two Gamorrean guards in the first episode, I mean, Fennec was like, no. They were so loyal to the job, but they're never gonna.
Right, is that funny? I love that. They were just like,
yeah, and which I guess makes sense from her point of view. But when they get ambushed, I mean, he's right there. They do get him back to the back to tank.
Yep. They do.
Maybe what how he wants to do it is working. At least we see it can have the potential to work.
Yeah, and I love that they're just loyal to whoever. I guess this point, like, you're in charge now. We're loyal. You were been ambushed. We're yours. So there they are. I love it. I thought that was cool. So it's a short part of it. That literally again, they're setting stuff up, setting the stage that this is going to not be easy. Like Frank said, it's not going to be easy, folks. I'm just going to take over, and that's going to be it. We always have some conflict. When on the show, I don't know, but we got that going. So now they go back in time to finish off, or not should I say finish off, to continue his journey. He had gained the respect of the Tusken Raiders, of course, in the last episode, defeating that weird four-arm creature. Gross. And all that. So they're very happy. So now he's with them. And so now he's been accepted. And what's so funny is that when he was trying to train them, I want to get on one of those little fast things. I want to do that too.
Well, I mean, when you spent your life just riding on a giant kind of woolly mammoth-esque creature, it's tough to hop on that cool, slick, speeder-esque bike.
Yes. This episode for me did feel very tribal in spirit and tone. There are a lot of kind of parallels I saw in the storytelling, like to maybe indigenous people's lands. I know that Tamora is Maori, which is, you look that up, folks, you know what that is. So there's a lot of things I felt that was part of this, which I feel like at the end of the episode, we'll talk about that part, but I felt like it was brought in. It just felt like it was this part of the storyline, but this train coming through and coming through their land, that they're saying it's ancestral land. They want to raid the train, how they have hardly any water. Like it felt so like something that happens in life for real. With this group, they're not just these evil bad people just go around and do things. And they explain later there are a lot of Tusken Raider tribes, and the others ruled by killing. We got a little more story about them too. It was kind of like an interesting story. So I thought it was very interesting that the rest of this episode kind of felt like something rooted in like real life, that kind of life stuff.
I agree, and what I like about it too is that, I mean, if you remember watching A New Hope, just intrigued by the first introduction of the Tusken Raiders. Right. Seemed very mysterious. George Lucas's world building, showing these the different kind of races that live on Tatooine. Yes. It gets you sucked in, and I mean they've just kind of been background or incidental characters throughout most of the stuff. I mean, you get Attack of the Clones and all that stuff they did. Anakin's got to go start kicking some Tusken butt and stuff.
Yes.
But what I like about especially having TV shows in the Star Wars universe is that you get the opportunity, you have the real estate to dive into these characters that you have always seen but never have had a chance to really explore. And it's been great to be able to get more into the Tusken Raider mindset, their culture, their philosophy, the way they see things. And like you're saying, that not even though they have their own differences too, even within their own culture, whether it's killing or not killing, and just seeing to learn how they get their staffs, which was cool.
Right? Yeah, right. Yes. So I'm going to say something about that because it was funny. this is totally crazy because I'm a crazy person. It reminded me when I was a kid, and my grandmother's in the South. We got in trouble to get a switch, they called it. So they made us go out to get the tree and get a branch and bring it to her so she could make it out of a switch to snake us with it. So it totally triggered me. It reminded me of all of that when he had him go out to get a tree, get a certain thing so he can make the stat. I'm like, oh, it reminded me of my childhood in the South.
That's did they put a lizard up your nose?
That's it. Oh, we're talking about that scene too.
Yeah.
Philip Boyce is in the building and he said, "We're nerds."
Oh, thanks, Flobo.
Yeah,
it means so much coming from you. Appreciate that.
New content every day.
Flobido.com.
We'll talk about Homeboy's acid trip in a sec. I was like, but it was very. I just think it just was very cool. You're right to see these characters. I was still waiting for my Ewoks. Waiting for them. I'm just kidding. No, they're universally hated. I know that, but they're for kids. They're cute. No, but yeah, I like seeing all these side little kind of characters getting their spotlight. Characters, sometimes certain armor, certain thing. I mean, we're seeing all that. We saw the Mandalorian ad here too. That's what was so kind of great to see that. He's like, oh, okay, they brought that up again. Oh, okay, that creature's here, and so we were seeing that. So they, Star Wars, he does that. It's a great thing that they're picking up on that. Or he's just passing through. Content every week. Oh, it's new content every week now. Okay.
Oh, well, somebody's slacking.
Yeah, I think so. We need to talk about that.
But I mean, it just goes to show that it's every character can be worthy of a great story if you
I think so too.
Take your time. And certainly the Star Wars universe, there are plenty.
There are plenty. There's a guy on TikTok, so Star Wars fan. There's a guy on TikTok. His name is Maddie the Archivist, and he does all the intricate, lesser known spaceships, armor, weapons, and characters from all the Star Wars universe. It is the bomb. And he does it in under 3 minutes. So it's very each time. It's very cool. And he pick up, oh that. And he goes, people will send him questions and go, there's this weird, animal and this one, and he'll look it up and do a whole story on it. So his name is Maddie the Archivist. I love him to death. He's a friend of mine on TikTok. He's really good. Just want to mention that. Everybody gets their due, Frank.
Yeah, that's right. And I even just the small stuff that we see running throughout the episode of just him learning how to use that staff properly.
Yeah.
And just sparring with the other Tusken, and just seeing that kind of evolve through the course of the episode. Just really just liked getting to see more of that culture.
So basically, we're doing all this because they're bringing in somebody else we know that we've seen in Solo and the Clone Wars. The Pike Syndicate is back, and the train heist. And it's so weird seeing a train on a track. So I was like, that's pretty weird. But it's Star Wars. But so we brought them back, and so we find out they're just coming through with these kind of spices and things they're using, or whatever, narcotic spice, or whatever they're called. These spices coming through. And again, we get to see them do this whole shebang shaboom, but in the end, he doesn't kill them. He spares them.
Mm-hmm.
And gives them a whole speech. Again, ruling differently, apparently. Just helping them out and saying, no, we're not going to kill you. We will put conditions.
Well,
interesting.
It is. And I guess maybe that comes from a bounty hunter kind of mindset where you're only really getting paid to kill or subdue who you're being contracted for. And usually everybody else outside of that, you're not going to do anything about, because it's like, no, I'm not getting paid to kill you or hurt you or whatever. I'm just after this one specific target. So I don't know if that kind of mindset kind of, evolves into a bigger philosophy for Boba, or it's just, oh yeah, I will. There's nothing in this exchange for me, other than just do not kill these people that I've come to know and respect.
Yeah, so he didn't kill him. He was like, we're gonna send you over here. Now you're our protection. We'll give you some things you suck out of that that they do, whatever those things. And they were just like, they're like, okay, we're not getting killed. And he's like, no, it's like But again, he brought up that speech that they feel this is their, and they've claimed this as their ancestral land. It's like they just kept sticking with me. It's this whole thing. If you're gonna pass through here, you gotta pay a toll. You're gonna get they're gonna get something out of this. When we get the water, and they're all getting just so excited. It's like it was very touching to me a little bit. I was like, I kind of unexpectedly got a little touched. I was like, I like that. It was kind of like It didn't end up in bloodshed. It didn't end up in like carnage. It was kind of like, well, you can come through if you want to, but you're gonna give us something out of it. You're gonna give us something. They're here out here trying to survive. They've been here for a thousand, I'm assuming thousands of years already been out here. And one thing about Tatooine is really funny. Ryan and I noticed this when either the first season or second season of Mandalorian, we were doing it. Like, it is a big planet that we didn't see the whole planet. Like, you kept thinking, I guess there's other places they get on the planet you could show. I mean, they didn't cover everything. So it's kind of cool to see other parts of
True, because I always just, my go-to is just, it's Mos Eisley. I'm just going to see Mos Eisley. And no, you're right. It's a big circle, guys. There's
big circle.
There's plenty of other stuff there.
Mandalorian went all over the place in season 2. They went all different planets there. They're like, I guess there's other places to go. I'm not so sure. But yeah, so that was kind of cool. And they go back to their tribal thing, and really there is this whole, like you said, the ritual. It's like this whole sign of respect, and it was very tribal. And he's telling them what's going on, kind of what happened. But the lizard part was gross. Because he has this cute little lizard. And he just like, what do I do? Okay, I'll help him guide me. And it went up his nose. This is gross. And then I said he had the acid trip of the episode. So what do you think about that whole sequence?
Interesting, because I part of me was like thinking as I'm watching it, saying, I'm thinking all of this is playing in his head. Him just even walking is in his head, and he's when he wakes up, he's still going to be right there. But no, he found like this tree that's in the desert somewhere.
Yes, it was like caressing him. It was like it was like grabbing him at him. Like, what?
So I don't know if they navigate, like they just pointed him in the right direction and kind of said, all right, keep tripping and go that way.
You go that way. Yeah, I don't know either. Until it's a trip. I was like, am I watching Twin Peaks? Like, what's going on here? This whole scene is just like, what's going on? But obviously it worked because he got what he needed. But it was a very chippy. I just didn't expect that. It was like, okay, I'm watching this.
And especially and the lizard comes out too, where it's like, all right,
yes, it does.
Yep.
Boba Fett is my wife's uncle. Oh, that's why you come. That's why you are. Yeah, you're part of that family. That's right.
Oh, that's cool.
He's there. Yeah, he is. That's right. He is. He's part of that whole thing. Yes. But yeah, again, I would say Tamora looks great. He's like in his 60s, and I'm just like, I hope I look that good next year. And I'll be 53, so I don't know what's going on. He looks good. I'm gonna say that. So I want to make sure I mention that he's working it out. Okay. So they have this whole ceremonial thing that happens, and they dress him. Okay, folks, as we get to the Mandalorian, they dress him in the black robe that we saw him first when he came back on season 2 of the Mandalorian. So now it's a little bit of a catch. It's like, oh, okay, that's who gave that to him. How he's dressed, it was them. What do you think about that?
I'm down with that. And as we talked a little bit before the show started, just seeing now, do they consider this point where we stopped in the episode like it just catches us right up to the Mandalorian, or there's just like a small a little bit of a gap that where nothing eventful happens, so we can just forget that, or does he have more adventures after he gets his clothing from the Tuskens and does a few other things before he encounters Fennec in the desert?
I agree. That's the whole point. Yeah, that's the only little gap we don't have, and I almost feel like we don't need it. But if they do it right, it's fine. Also, if they do it, in a way that's entertaining, that's fine. I mean, okay. Yeah. So, but I think this could be, if they decide to stop it here, just go present day. I mean, it's a fine place to stop. You know what I mean? It's like it's not anything that'll be so shaky where you're like, really? So we don't get to know. I mean, like it's fine. I mean, it's fine.
Because I mean, I certainly feel like this kind of, besides like Boba's own mindset, to then kind of reinforce that he happened to be with a Tusken group that did not believe in killing right out of the gate. So it kind of just reinforced whatever mindset he is, that we could stay present day and understand where he's coming from when he wants to just kind of rule by respect.
I had read somewhere some people were getting upset, which I didn't agree with. They were hoping that the first episode would be just all of the flashback. Just like, just do the whole episode, just one episode of it, be done. And I was like, well, I don't mind this so far. I don't mind it being 2 or 3 episodes of kind of, because to me it's half and half. So we're getting present and So for me, I didn't bother me, but some people it bothered some people, and I'm like, didn't bother me. Because to me, I mean, I'm you talk to a person I was a fan of Lost, and so
Mhm.
he did flashbacks, fast forwards. I was a fan. Days of Our Lives did a time jump and then went backwards. I mean, like, I don't mind if it's a good story. I don't mind it, and I think, but everyone wanted to know what happened to him. How did he get me? That question had to be answered. But I'm almost glad they did just one episode of that. Like, it's just they could have, it could be fine, I guess. But I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad he kind of. I like these 2 episodes. I like them. I like the pacing. I liked the structure. It was not fine. It was fine with me.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's, if we're going to be using the back to tank, which is cool to kind of explain how he
Right.
recovers from the injuries that he got coming out of the Sarlacc pit. I mean, it's a great kind of natural way to to go into those flashbacks. He's just sitting there, just chilling in his back to tank. I will be curious to see, is that something does he need repeated treatments given how many injuries he sustained, or I don't know. It seems like that's his default to keep going back to the back to tank. So I don't know if that's because he likes it or he needs it still.
Yeah, I don't either. Because again, they didn't mention it obviously in Mandalorian when he made his appearances. That was never mentioned. So I'm curious to like what is this part? I mean, is it now just the thing he has to do? Will that become a story at some point? Like what later on? Like will there was something? Would that be sabotage? Like I'm just like it's there. I'm a little nervous, Frank, that it's there.
That's right.
And if he needs it makes me nervous.
We've seen enough of those crazy I'm addicted to shows. So, if it's also in Boba, I'm addicted to Bacta.
Yes.
I need my Bacta.
I need my Bacta. I mean, it just makes me nervous. But I just want to, the thing I wanted to kind of say that I love the tribal dance they did, and he was part of it. And I think I have a feeling it was part of his culture in real life. I feel like there's something mixed in there. And it was something beautiful about it to me. I just really loved it. It was at nighttime on a fire. It was really cool to me because you don't see stuff like that much on television. Anything indigenous, you don't see that much of it. So it's kind of like that was very cool to me that they did something that was kind of, it fit the story to me. It fit.
And I feel like if we're going to, I agree with you. And if we're going to show these characters, and we've spent 2 episodes with them, and if that's all we're spending, we're not doing flashbacks with them anymore. I feel like we got to see them before the end of the season, present day.
Oh right. Oh yeah. Maybe they come to help or something. Yeah, something. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I feel like that could be something where, if the odds are starting to go against Boba and he needs to pull out some backup, they come showing up.
That'd be good. Well, we have 6 more episodes, so I guess anything's possible. As you know, these series, anything's possible. And so remember, folks, it is the same time period as Mandalorian. So it's like 5 or 6 years after the Return of the Jedi. So I mean, it's literally the same. They're the same universe, apparently. I can't remember if Ahsoka is. I think she is too. I think I can't remember.
She is. Yep.
Yeah, she is too. I'm excited by that series too. That's Ryan's favorite. He just can't wait. He's giddy. Our show, he showed his giddy excitement. He can't wait.
Because that's almost like you're closest to having like your weekly Jedi fix.
Yes.
Yes. Jedi adjacent. Since
Jedi-esque. Jedi adjacent. Yes. Exactly. So he's very excited about that. But I thought this is set in that time period. So people are also wondering who might show up on this. I mean, they'll do a crossover in a second. That's what Star Wars does. They'll bring stuff in if they feel like it.
Yeah.
But we got Robert Rodriguez, we got Jon Favreau. They're all very involved. They're just like they're pulling this together. And so far, I like it. I'm invested. I want to see what happens. I enjoyed the Bad Batch. I enjoyed Mandalorian both seasons. I'm enjoying so far this universe.
It's great. And for people that are worried, like, oh, it's not the Skywalker story. There are so many other story possibilities in this universe, and so if you put talented people behind it, they can do great things. And really,
don't worry, folks. We got Obi-Wan Kenobi coming out.
Yes,
and I heard Anakin's in it. They're in it. Everybody knows I am Darth Vader. That's my man. So I'm waiting. He's showing up in 2 different series apparently. So you never know. But I know on Obi they're bringing back both of the guys, Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor. That's a coup right there. So I'm telling you, folks, don't worry. Like Frank said, there's plenty to go around. And so we got our piece of ours. We got our Luke at the end of Mandalorian. So we got a piece of him.
No, which is fine. I mean, I'm fine if they wanted to only kind of go that route with the kind of like the Skywalker touches, where they're just little characters that might pop in occasionally in a different series, just to kind of like, oh yeah, hey, they're all kind of connected. But I don't need to see, them that much or hardly at all. So what
Yeah,
I
I
got from
think.
Mandalorian was nice.
Well, I think Frank. I think because we're producers and things, and I was thinking was these just started. They're very, this is very infancy compared to like Marvel and DC. This is very infancy of them doing this, building this part of the universe. So I was like, they got some time. They got plenty of time, folks, to even if they want to do a Skywalker story. I have a feeling they will at some point. I have a feeling they will. I think how can they not? It's like they will because the fans are going to want it. But it has to be a good story, obviously. It has to be something that's going to make sense. I feel like they're taking their time and really like working on these shows. I think that's what it feels like so far. So far, that's what 2 series are so far. Because the movies were all something else. Yeah.
Well,
Um,
I
yeah.
mean, Solo kind of, opened the door to recasting for better,
Yeah.
for worse, however you
Yeah.
felt
Well.
about those results.
Yeah.
Um, but it did. So to see like a Luke story kind of told in that time between Jedi and Force Awakens,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to recast it with somebody.
Yeah.
But that will be interesting whenever that kind of time comes.
Yeah. No. It's yeah. Yeah. Because you're right. Solo did. We had a Han Solo. We had a young Lando. I mean, there was actually these and the guy, and of course I love Homeboy. He played Lando in real life. I like his work. So it worked. I mean, it did work. And I mean, the story bugged me, but I could see him as Lando. I was like, it was fine.
Yeah.
For me, it was all about Billy D. Williams. Like, hello. But you're right. They were the first to kind of open the door to like, okay, if you want to do a Leia or a Luke, or it possibly could happen. These haven't touched it yet, but it could happen.
I mean, the interesting thing is that when they used CGI
Yeah.
to recreate Luke for the Mandalorian, I mean, I feel like his character is going to be weird because if you would have just gone back and recasted a young Luke for that cameo, then I think you would have been fine doing future stuff in that timeline between Jedi and Force Awakens with a different actor, and people would have been at least used to it. But that they used a kind of de-aged Luke, which was cool to see. But then does that set up that anytime you see Luke in that time period, it's got to be kind of a de-aged Mark Hamill?
I completely was that 8 to 11-year-old kid who watched all through the first trilogy in the theaters when they first came out, crying like a baby, seeing Luke's face with the Grogu. I mean, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I mean, a lot of people in my generation were all talking like it was a very cool moment to see. It was a very cool moment to see. But I see what you're saying, of course. Now we're going into writing and producing, so I see what you're saying there. But I feel like I was a little kid again. It was something magical about it. I'm sorry. When you first see him come in, the music, and all you see is the cape, and it was, to me, it was a great entrance. It was a great entrance. To look at the monitor, you see it happening, and it just, yeah, I don't know. It brought me back to when I was a kid. So I will acquiesce.
For sure. I mean, what I loved about it is that it just changed the perspective, because we'd spent so much time kind of alongside Luke and the Jedis, and we're like, okay, yeah, we're used to how kind of the powers of a Jedi. But when you kind of remove it of that, you put it in the Mandalorian, and it's just them watching through a screen, you kind of take that step back and like, oh yeah, being a Jedi is freaking crazy. Yes. And if you saw this guy coming through, you would definitely be freaking.
Yes, exactly. I loved it. But the part that's really interesting, folks, is the Leia part, because they used, footage that had not been used, and and they brought, there's in several of the movies, of course, they use some, deleted scene or whatever. They worked it out. They synced up, vocal. They had her daughter stand in the back, in the back. I mean, they did a lot of, tricks to carry her along. But now that's done. I mean, I don't think there's anything else. I mean, now it has to be a literal recast. I think at this point, if they decide to do anything with Leia, I think.
Yeah, but I'm sure Harrison would be totally down for doing some de-aged Han Solo.
That's a lot of de-aging too, I mean. we share. I have my middle name is Harrison, folks. So I love the name. I would say like Harrison Ford. Harrison. I go Harrison Ford. That's what I always say. But yeah, I mean, he's a little long in the tooth, Frank.
Yeah. To be more Boba specific, I am curious to see what Jennifer Beals' arc is going to be throughout the series, because I feel like you don't bring her in just for like a couple little quick hits in these 2 episodes.
No, oh no, she's a. Well, I hope they definitely go. She can act, folks. I mean, I've seen her in The L Word, other things. She can act. I'm like, yeah, they don't bring a big name like that on and just like play her around. I mean. Because like the guy who can't, there's so many funny parts in this whole thing, and everybody gets a little lines. I mean, I wish I was in it. I was some lines. So if you're watching out there, I want to be on one of the Star Wars shows. I'll do a little. I'll be the guy that says, "I don't see your name down here. Do you have an appointment?" I love that guy. So I'll be him. It's like I love it. As I said, there's no bits of humor. It's not like an laugh out loud. There's little bits of humor in the episodes, and that part of me is kind of loud, like they're at a restaurant. So yeah, you go to see the mayor. I don't see your name down here. And then they start walking in. He's like, wait a minute, I'm just like it just made me laugh. It was very much like that's the kind of show. So maybe chuckle. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how they expand this universe and maybe one of the smaller characters, you never know, may become something later. Like you see here, be a little piece of somebody, and then later becomes something. So I'm really curious if they do that too. It's
the other side of it though is that Star Wars is such a franchise that people just like, and it's cool that, like Daniel Craig being a stormtrooper. It's just like, is it just enough for them? Just like,
that's true too.
I don't need to have a big thing, but it would be fun just to, come and play for a couple episodes as this character.
Well,
so I wonder, I would like it to be more, but I could also understand if it's just Jennifer Beals like, yeah, this would be cool just to be in a couple episodes of a Star Wars show. Yeah, why not?
They've done that with some of the Marvel stuff. People just made appearances in a movie here and there. They don't really come back. I mean, it's like you're in a movie, you're in a Marvel movie. Sure, I'll be the guy who shoots the floor down the scene. I don't care. I mean, it's a minute. I'll be like you say, I was in a Marvel film. I'm in a Marvel franchise.
That's right.
So I think so. Yeah, but I do hope that Jennifer Beals gets I think like right now, just kind of establishing that this is kind of a cantina of sorts, the club there of sorts, right there, and so it's fine. And she runs it. But what else does she? Yeah, what else is going on there? It's like what else is going on? I hope they do. Yeah, more with her also.
Yeah, yes, it'll be cool because I mean, she can't just show up and just offer to clean people's helmets. Hey, would you like your helmet cleaned?
I don't think. It's like if that was like you said, somebody like I don't care. This is a great franchise. It's a whole new fan base. I mean, I get it, girl. And you get paid. I mean,
that's right. I mean that you set yourself up for the rest of your life for convention appearances.
There you go. My friend was in WandaVision, the season finale of WandaVision, and she plays this alien. She's the first Black person to play a certain alien. I forgot what it is. I haven't watched WandaVision yet. And now they're bringing it into one of the Marvel movies. So she's like, shit, but she was like, if I was just in this thing I'll be fine. If I was just in this, she said she ain't go to the Comic Cons and shit. But now she's like going to be put into the main one. So it's like, you never know.
It's true. I mean, Richard Hatch is gone now. And,
right.
All our Battlestar Galactica era actors, Power Ranger actors, they can't go forever. We need new, kind of side character actors and sci-fi to be able to go to these conventions. They got to take up.
Stormtrooper number 7 from that movie, Attack of the Clones. Yes,
Lou Ferrigno can only do so much. He can only be at so many conventions. He's getting up there in age. No matter how much he works out and he looks good.
All I know is I miss my Lindsay Wagner. She's the bomb. She's out there. She's out there somewhere. I don't know if she does any of these Comic Cons, but Bionic Woman, I want to see you.
Aaron Gray, come on.
Aaron Gray. Oh my God, I love it. Oh my God, now you're really taking me back in time. That is crazy. You're taking me back in time. I just wait for the Ewoks. A big joke of my show is about the Ewoks. I know they were universally kind of like whatever, but they were for the kids. Star Wars always had things for kids, and they had a series. I have the tape from the 80s. I want them to show up somewhere. Give me an Ewok somewhere.
I mean, all it would take is that even though people kind of look at them as a joke of sorts.
I know.
It would just take, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau to include them in another series and kind of do a deep dive like they did with the Tuskens.
Yes.
To kind of show people like, oh wait, these characters do have Potential.
All I say is, don't give me any Jar Jar Binks. Okay, everybody. So that is the end of our show, and we'll end it on him as our show for this week.
Misa not liking that ending, James.
I heard he got redeemed later and some other thing, but I don't care. I was never a fan of Jar Jar Binks in the movie. That's another. He didn't get redeemed. I thought he did somewhere.
Yeah, not to me, he didn't.
Good. Thank you, Frank. That's why we're friends. Thank you, Frank, for doing this, and
absolutely
come back again. Yeah. It'll be fun. I didn't realize you were a Star Wars nerd like I was. I didn't realize that.
I've got a huge, big, Darth Vader's my daddy on my back. So,
your daddy. I love that. I love the Mandela effect. Okay, we talked about that the other day. Like, he didn't say this, he said that. Anyway, that's another story. You can watch me on TikTok. I talk about that. So Frank, tell me where they can find you. Actually,
find me on Twitter and Instagram at Happy Go Jackie, and on most Sundays with James doing the GH Mini Spotlight right here in JLJ.
Yeah. We'll be back on the 16th, and we're back doing all new episodes. A lot's happening on our hustle right now. Sorry, folks. We'll be back. And so all kind of stuff. And also, he's on some of my audio dramas. And on Friday, which is in 2 days, it'll be him, Total Voices in the chat room, myself talking DC stuff. I know. I can't wait. I have questions for you guys. I have dumb questions I want to ask you guys. I want you guys to answer them. So,
get ready, Flobo.
He's scared. He says he's scared. So we're gonna have a good time. That's gonna be on my show. I don't normally watch that here on JLJ Media, 8:00 live like this. Live. We're gonna talk about that then. But you can follow me where all James Lott Jr. is sold at James Lott Jr. on all social media platforms. I stole that from our friend. Oh my God, wait for a second. Alexis Torres. You can follow her at 8Torres890. She let me have it. So I've been using it for years. And I am so. I mean, I can be bought. I really can.
That's right.
But everybody, please take care of yourselves. My other Star Wars show is Darth Vader is Your Father. That's audio only. You can watch that you can listen to that on all streaming platforms. See you guys next time.